Picture this. The year is 507 BCE, and a crowd of Athenians gather in a large public stadium. But it's not everyone. Women are missing, foreigners are missing, and out of hundreds of thousands of Athenians, only a small handful of thousands of men are allowed to step forward and decide the fate of an entire city. And yet, this moment, as imperfect and exclusive as it is, will later be remembered as the birth of democracy, or the government of the people. A system that billions of people now live under. But here's the twist. Democracy did not at all begin as freedom for all. It became as power for the few. And the story of how it spread and stumbled is literally the story of humanity itself. This is the Next Majority podcast tuning in, and today we're going to be talking about the origins of democracy and how it has literally shaped our history. Tune in, because we're going to be uncovering many truths that you may have not known before. So now, let's talk about the origins of democracy. Democracy originated in Athens, Greece as the government of the people. But here's the catch. It wasn't the democracy we know today where we vote to elect officials, but it was more like thousands of people crammed into a small sports stadium where they raised their hands to vote on important issues. Quite a radical idea. Ordinary people having a say in government instead of educated nobles or aristocrats. But there was a fundamental flaw that this system possessed. Instead of all 300,000 Athenian population being able to vote, only men born in Athens were able to vote. That concentrates that 300,000 to just about 50,000 men. That's not the government of the people at all. That's the government of the few. So Athens gave us the idea, but then came Rome. Rome gave us the structure. Romans didn't call it a democracy, however. They called it a republic, and this is where citizens elected officials, and power was divided between the Senate, the assemblies, and the two consuls. Checks and balances, term limits, and veto powers. Sound familiar? Yeah, the US Constitution borrowed a lot from this playbook. But Rome also revealed the danger. As wealth and power pooled into the hands of elites, corruption spread like wildfire. Populists manipulated the masses, inequality grew, and eventually the republic collapsed into an empire. Rome taught the world something quite important. Democracy is fragile, and when inequality grows too wide, the whole system can collapse. In the middle of this Roman drama lived Cicero, a philosopher and statesman. He argued something quite radical, that there is a universal law, a natural law higher than kings, higher than government, and higher than the human opinion. This natural law, he said, teaches us rights and wrongs that exist in nature. What's powerful here is that Cicero induced the idea that justice does not come from rulers, it exists beyond them. Centuries later, philosophers like John Locke and the American founders would echo Cicero's ideas, grounding democracy in natural rights that no government should take away. When Rome finally fell, democracy faded from Europe for some time. Monarchs started ruling by divine right, claiming power came straight from God. Ordinary people had absolutely no say, and interestingly, believed it. But sparks remained. In 1215 CE, English nobles forced King John to sign the Magna Carta, a document that limited his power and said even a king was subject to the law. It wasn't democracy yet, but people were still excluded. It planted a seed. Rulers could be restrained, and rights could be written down. Centuries later, the Renaissance breathed new life into Greek and Old Roman ideas. And then came the Enlightenment, the intellectual firestorm that supercharged democracy. John Locke declared that governments existed only to protect life, liberty, and property. Rousseau argued for the social contract, where governments are legitimate only if they serve the people. Montesquieu introduced separation of powers to keep rulers in check. The big shift, authority no longer came from kings or tradition. It came from reason, from rights, from the will of the people. In the late 1700s, a combination of past theories and learning from previous empires turned into action. The American Revolution created one of the first modern democracies, the American democracy we live under today. The Constitution declared liberty and justice for all as an accumulation of the wisdom gained from past philosophy. Across the Atlantic, the French Revolution declared liberty, equality, and fraternity, and tore down their monarchy with the help of the guillotine. But here's the sharp contradiction. While the US preached democracy, they still enslaved millions, denied women voting, and had much more inequality. In addition, On the other hand, France declared equality, but still spiraled into bloodshed and dictatorship. These revolutions showed the fragility of democracy and its power to inspire and also destroy. The next 2 centuries were about widening the circle. Abolition movements ended slavery in many countries, and women's suffrage movements cracked open the ballot box. Workers fought for the right to unionize, to vote, and to be represented. By the 20th century, democracy wasn't just for property-owning men anymore. It was inching closer to its promise, a system where every person could have a voice. After World War II, democracy became the model of the world aspired to be. The Cold War turned democracy into a weapon of influence against authoritarian regimes. After the fall of the Soviet Union, new democracy emerged across Eastern Europe, Africa, and Asia. But today, the story isn't so simple. Misinformation spreads faster than facts. Authoritarian movements rise inside democratic nations. Voter suppression and corruption remind us of Athens, where democracy always had boundaries. The system remains fragile, tested again and again. So where does that leave us? Technology is reshaping participation, from online voting to social media movements. Young people are taking the lead in climate strikes, education reform, and activism, echoing the spirit of Athenian citizens stepping into the public square. The question isn't just where democracy came from, it's where it's going. If history shows us anything, it's that democracy has never been finished. From Athens to Rome, from the Enlightenment to today, it's always been an experiment. Imperfect, fragile, and evolving. The real test of democracy is not its origins, it's whether we can continue to fight for its future. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more. That's it for the next majority, zooming out.